Welcome to The Route to Success, the podcast where we explore the power of hope, resilience, and stories that shape impactful change. I'm your host, Sara Orellana, and today I'm joined by Courtney Hampson, the CEO of Bluffton Self-Help. For nearly 4 decades, this organization has provided essential services to neighbors in need, from free groceries and clothing to life-changing adult education programs. But as Courtney shares, while it's easy to rally food donations, the critical work of supporting adult learners often gets overlooked. And just side note, before we jump into this topic, adult learning is one of my passions, so I may get overexcited. So in this episode, we're going to dive deeply into adult education, why it's important and it's transformational, and we're going to explore how Bluffton Self-Help is changing lives in multiple different ways. Courtney, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I am excited to talk about one of my favorite topics today. So let's start off with just a little short overview of Bluffton Self-Help. And also, if you don't mind, just doing a little plug of where they can find more information. And if they feel led to make a donation after today's podcast, where they could possibly make that donation.
Absolutely. So blufftonselfhelp.org, you can find out how to get involved, how to donate, or if you need help, how to utilize our resources. So we are an almost 38-year-old organization. We focus on basic needs, making sure our neighbors have food, clothing, and financial assistance when and if there is an unplanned hardship. Our adult education programs, we offer English as a second language, GED, digital literacy, financial literacy courses. And then in the middle is our team of client advocates who are really making sure that all of the neighbors we serve are connected to all of our resources, but also all of the resources in the community that other nonprofits offer.
That's a mouthful and wonderful. I loved it. Yes. What is your, can people just Google Bluffton Self-Help and find you?
Yes.
Perfect. And just for clarification, that's in South Carolina. So if you pass through this lovely state, stop by Bluffton Self-Help and make a donation. That's my personal plug. Courtney did not ask me to do that. All right. So what I found really interesting, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it, is that you are serving over 600 families monthly and running programs across 3 key service areas. First of all, where do you get that energy? How do you do it? And can you share any recent success stories, milestones, or anything that you're particularly proud of? Let's start on this really high positive note.
Sure. So we're actually serving 900 families a month across all of our programs. That was our data point last month. 650 households through the market and basic needs. We had 411 students start our fall semester. And then we have a caseload of about 160 households who we are working with one-on-one. In a perfect world, which is where we are sitting right now, 55% of our families are engaged in more than one program. So we know when we layer those services, that is when we can best help a family. And that's really where we see the success, when we can help a family in more than one way. So we always say the market, which is our free grocery store. So it is not a food pantry. It is a free grocery store. Fruits, veggies, eggs, milk, meat, every time a family shops. That is the magnet for us. It's usually the first way folks find us. And when they shop and they build trust with our team and we get to know them, that is when we can start uncovering how else we can help a family. So that's really where we see it starts in the market. There are always smiling faces. Folks have choice in our grocery store. They choose what they are going to take home and prepare for their family. We care about the ambiance and what it looks like. We have this huge mural on the wall. I mean, I want it to feel, especially if families are shopping with their kiddos, the kids don't know that there's no money exchange. They just know we went grocery shopping. As folks do in South Carolina, I'm from New Jersey, so this was a learning curve for me. We bag their groceries and we offer to take their groceries to the car. That is kind of like a quintessential South Carolina grocery store thing. So we do the exact same thing. So that's how we get to know families. Our volunteers who always work the Monday, evening shift, folks who shop on Monday evening get to know those people. So at the end of the day, it's all about the personal connection we can create. And then how can we build a long-term relationship with these families?
Community, sense of community. First of all, I did not know it was a South Carolina thing to bag and carry out groceries. I am impressed, but part of that Southern hospitality for sure, which is not a strong point for me because I grew up like you between New Jersey and Southern California. So I'm learning.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love that. I love what I would say is the sense of community that you're developing and how you're empowering, not shaming. And I think that is so powerful to note here. Because it's hard when you're a parent and you realize you can't afford groceries. And it's very humbling, and you're making it a way where it could be a sense of community and something to be proud of. I love that.
Soon as somebody steps across that threshold the first time, we know we have one shot to make this a really great experience. And we also know how hard it was for them to walk in that door.
Yes, it is. And so it sounds like you're applauding and encouraging courage, which I always say the best way to start the day is by being courageous and brave. So that's fabulous.
Love it.
Okay, let's dive in to my favorite topic. I will try to contain my excitement to talk about this. You mentioned that you provide a wide range of adult education services, from GED to citizenship classes to digital and financial literacy, all super important. Why is this piece of your mission so critical, and what impact have you seen it have on individuals and families?
Yeah. So 50% of our neighbors in this county and the next county, Beaufort and Jasper counties, are not earning a livable wage. So about 5 years ago, when we were kind of embarking on our strategic plan that we're currently winding down, we were trying to determine, what is the gap? Why are families not earning enough to live in this beautiful place that we call home? And it was lack of education. So we started talking to partner organizations, other nonprofits, to figure out how we could maybe partner and fill that education gap. And there was a 50-year-old literacy organization based on Hilton Head, which is the town right next to us, and many people have probably heard of. And this conversation about partnership and offering their programs to our neighbors turned into a full merger. So we ended up merging organizations in the summer of 2021. And really, I like to say overnight, we had this whole other program area. We know that when somebody receives their GED, earns their GED, or becomes fully bilingual, their earning potential automatically goes up by $8,000 a year. So in getting folks to that livable wage, we knew we needed to fill that education gap. So we took what we learned from the Literacy Center, and they were primarily English as a second language, layered on these other course offerings, and really took a step back and said, I want this to feel like adult education. I want this to feel like a college campus. I want every classroom to have working technology and great AV systems, and the tables and chairs are new, the textbooks are new. I wanted it to feel, again, dignity in this experience. And so we, through that lens, kind of recreated a program that was existing and needed a nice little boost. And by putting our organizations together, we were able to give this boost. And we know the students who are attending classes, so we work on the semester basis. So we have a spring, a fall, a summer basis. Classes are 2 times a week. These are working families. So these are students who have 1, maybe 2 jobs, a family at home. They're worried about childcare. Transportation might be an issue, but they are in our classes 2 mornings or 2 evenings a week. And so I think our greatest success metric is our attendance expectation is 75% attendance rate. And we have held that steady for 4.5 years. These are committed folks to bettering their household and their situation. They are open to learning, which means we have such a great opportunity to explain all the other resources and other ways that we can help, because they're already open to that idea of learning more. So when we can get a family who is shopping in the market also attending our classes, or vice versa, like, we're making magic here, right? When somebody shops in the market, they could save $500 a month on groceries. Well, if you're in our financial literacy class and you're working on your budget, that $500 can be reallocated somewhere else. So connecting them all is really the sweet spot. It has to happen. We can't work in the silos. So when a student gets their GED, I mean, what I love about our education programs is the opportunity to celebrate. Every milestone is absolutely a celebration. So our GED students get the bells and whistles. They get a gift card to go out for dinner and to celebrate with their family, a luxury they may not otherwise be able to afford. You know, we do a full, it's a certificate, everybody signs a card, everybody on the team. When one of our students achieves their citizenship, we know that that is a long and expensive road. Again,
Yes.
like bells, whistles. What I love about our learning centers is the bulletin boards, every celebration, people who got their library card, people who got their GED, 100% attendance. We have students who never miss a class. Show me a college student who has never missed a class and I will be shocked.
Right.
Just
Oh
the
my gosh.
commitment of these folks and these family, like it is just, it's amazing.
I would say what I am getting from you, the positive vibes. And first of all, now I just want to walk through your learning center every day because I think it would be the most amazing experience. I think it just to turn any bad mood into a great mood. But what I am hearing from you is that because you have created a haven where people are receiving hands up and encouragement and positivity, and there's absolutely no shame, you are seeing immense success in helping them meet their needs. And what I would venture to guess, based on what you've said, is that if there is a need that you don't meet not personally, but as an organization, you know who does, and you have connections there, and you're making those referrals. So you've turned yourself into this one-stop shop where people can come and be loved on, which who doesn't need that, especially right now, hear positive things about themselves and know that they're going to succeed.
100%. Referrals and our referral partners are core to what we're doing. So our resource hub is kind of where everybody's journey starts. We have an intake specialist. I call her our air traffic controller. So every person who walks in the door, phone call, online form, Tahila is doing this immediate triage. Is this crisis? And we need a case manager to reach out to walk in here immediately. Are we signing up for the market? Is it questions? And oftentimes it is a referral and a connection to another organization. That might be the first step. If someone is not feeling well or they are in pain, you know, we do not have a healthcare component, but Volunteers in Medicine does. And we know that until we take care of that health issue, they're not going to be in a headspace to hear all the other stuff we're going to say that we can do. So let's connect them to that first resource that they absolutely need. And for us, we want to break down as many barriers and smooth the road too. So with Volunteers in Medicine, it's a great example. We refer back and forth a lot to the point that we took our intake forms and agreed that we don't need 2 intake forms. We agreed that these 15 questions matter to you, matter to Bluffton Self-Help. We share an intake form now. So if somebody walks into Volunteers in Medicine and does that paperwork, they don't have to do it again because that's a pain in the neck.
And it's overwhelming. And when you are in need of services, it is so easy to see that one more piece of paperwork and just be like, I quit.
That's
I'm
right.
done.
That's right. The number one question that the nurse who sees a patient at Volunteers in Medicine usually asks, I learned, is around nutrition. And if you're, pinching pennies to go to the grocery store, the healthy stuff is the expensive stuff. So your nutrition probably is not ideal. So because of that, every new patient at Volunteers in Medicine in Bluffton and Jasper County automatically is signed up to shop in our grocery store. Volunteers in Medicine sends the form over, new patient, they'd like to shop. We call them that day, come in, we'll give you a tour, we'll get you set up. Like, let's make this happen. Let's not make you jump through 3 more hoops.
I love it. You said one thing that I want to circle back to. It was at the very beginning. You said removing silos or something about taking down silos. And that is something that in my 20-year-long career in the nonprofit world, I have encountered so many silos. And a lot of times it's based in ego or pride or history. How did you manage to get those silos down in such a graceful and amazing way where you inspired more partnerships and collaborations? What was your secret?
My mentor told me a long time ago, shout out to Steve, he'll probably watch this. We still are in touch from decades ago. One of the first things he ever told me when I started my nonprofit career was the world is about people. And so it has to start with a relationship. So I am fortunate that before I joined Bluffton Self-Help in my corporate days. I had a lot of relationships in the community with the nonprofits, so we weren't starting from scratch. Again, I think it's just people who want to do better. I always say we can't do this work alone, but we also can't do it with everyone. There are more than 800 nonprofits in our county, 800. So there's a lot of competition for dollars, for volunteers, for airtime, but finding those right partners. Not everybody is always a fit, but the ones that make sense, certainly we are not going to pop up a healthcare clinic. So volunteers in medicine was crucial. We're not going to do legal, low country legal volunteers, crucial partner for us. The Boys and Girls Club. We know that the kiddos who are spending their after school time at the Boys and Girls Club, likely their parents are shopping in the market. So the more that we can overlap, but that is about really great relationships with me and the executive directors of those other orgs, but also with our teams, our client advocates being able to reach out and having their person at XYZ organization. Again, it's just smoothing a barrier. It makes so much sense once you start doing it.
Yes. Okay. So much value in gold nuggets here. So I would say this last, probably, I didn't time it, maybe 5-10 minutes, definitely something to save and listen to multiple times. Kind of a controversial question. Let me ask you, I know what my opinion is. In your experience, what are some of the biggest misconceptions or overlooked challenges when it comes to investing in adult learners?
I think for donors, they can't see the end game immediately. If we ask for a food donation and you bring me a case of peanut butter, that peanut butter is going to be on somebody's table by the end of this week. It's coming in and it's going right back out. If you invest in an adult learner, this is a long journey. So to earn your GED, you have to pass 4 subject tests.
Right.
You could take them all in one. You could take them one at a time. Again, if you've got 2 jobs and 3 kids at home, you might be taking it slower. So this could take years. To become fully bilingual, there are 4 levels of English that we teach. Level 1 could take 2 years. So this is a long game. So if I invest in Susie, who is trying to earn her GED, how will I know she gets it? I mean, that's my assessment of why I think there's an immediacy to food and basic needs.
Right.
But it takes, a real investment on the student's part. And the best thing we can do is share our success. 95% of the students, our students who take their GED tests, pass on the first try. 95. Wow. 80% of our ESL students passed and moved up a level last year. Like, these are big numbers. Right. So, but we don't have anything to compare it to because we're the only ones doing it. So they feel big to us. So I think for us too, for the first 33 years of our existence, we were about basic needs. Education is a new part of our story. So we have to keep telling that part of the story because it's new. And folks still to this day say, I didn't know you did that part. Meanwhile, I feel like I talk about it all the time, but we are a growing community. We are a resort community. So it's just, we just have to keep hammering the message. And for me, it's always a mix of data and stories.
So something that I'm just kind of curious, in your experience with adult learners, how many of them do you think struggled in school because of undiagnosed learning disabilities? And is that something that you guys help with and help overcome that challenge?
That is a great question. So we have found that for folks who are trying to get their GED, there's certainly a group of folks who are not literate in English, even when English is their first language. So we have an adult basic education kind of tutoring component that we will do to get folks to the point where they can even tackle the GED test. I don't know if you've ever seen the GED study guide. It's about this thick and dry as heck. So we're really teaching folks to take the test, to be good readers and comprehenders, but you have to be fully literate. There is a staggering statistic. In South Carolina, 3 of 5 adults do not read above an 8th grade level.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. And that makes sense because a couple of years ago when I worked for newspapers, we were taught never write above an 8th grade level, which is sad too, though.
It is sad, but that tells us a lot about kind of our workforce and
Right.
and where the gaps are. So we've even found that, okay, we can get somebody fully bilingual. And by the way, many of our students for whom English is not their first language, they moved here with an architecture degree, a nursing degree. So they are extremely smart, had great careers, moved to this country, and now are having to start over. Imagine moving to another country and saying, go back to high school again, learn the language, and then you can maybe consider going back to college and doing the same career you were doing. So it's just this crazy juxtaposition. I mean, our learners are from 18 years old to 65 years old, 70 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on the digital literacy space, it's really interesting. You know, we get widows who never managed the household finances, didn't know how to log into the computer to even see the bank account because their husband or wife, in some cases, did that. So it is this full kind of spectrum. So we are very much meet people where they are, keep our classes small. 8 to 10 is kind of the sweet spot. It's also really all the space we have. So if we have classrooms, we might go to 15, but all of our classes are taught by volunteer tutors. So we create the curriculum. We have at every center kind of a expert. We have our ESL expert. We have our GED expert, our digital literacy. So that is a staff member who really guides the tutors with training on the curriculum. So regardless of what volunteer is teaching, if it's a level 2 class for English, everybody's tackling the same thing week 3.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Okay. Sorry, I'm catching up on my questions. And we've had such a great conversation. So let me switch to something that I have taught about, I've spoken about, and I have managed, and I've struggled with: volunteer engagement and volunteer management. You have well over 350 volunteers. What are some of the ways that you recruit and retain your volunteers? And how do you make them feel appreciated and valued?
Yeah, our volunteers are our donors. I mean, so last year, our budget saved $1 million because of volunteer manpower. So that would have otherwise been salary that we would have been paying. So we very much view our volunteers are our donors, and we steward them in the same way. Our volunteer manager, she reports up through the development and the fundraising team. So again, it's about celebrating. It's about acknowledging. So, 1 year, 5 year, we have 10-year volunteers. We handwrite birthday cards to every single volunteer. Every month we get a stack and it goes around the entire staff. We do touch points. In the summer, we roll up the ice cream truck. Last week I got an email from a tutor saying, thank you so much for the cookie. It hit the spot. So just like these little touch points along the way, so they feel valued. We do a volunteer satisfaction survey to ensure that they, one, have the tools that they need, but also we ask, how do you want to be appreciated? Do you want a surprise party, or do you want a handwritten note? So we can really understand what they need. Our volunteers, we have a good but small group of high schoolers who have a regular shift. In fact, my niece is downstairs in the market right now. She's a senior in high school. But we have a lot of retired folks too, who had these spectacular careers across all kind of, aspects. And now they're choosing to give their time to us. Some folks work 1 or 2 times a month. Some folks are here every day. I think that's part. Retirement is amazing, but I always ask, like, why us? Well, I moved here. You can only play golf so many times, and I learned that pretty quickly.
Very true. Very true.
The retirement community, a lot of people retire here, so we have this built-in, opportunity and audience of potential volunteers.
I love how you brought in the retirement crowd, because what I have found is so often they're ready to retire. I mean, you can only work 40 hours a week for so long, right? And handle the stress, but they're not ready to not be valuable.
Yep.
And you offer them a place where they can be of service and of value, and maybe work part-time or quarter time, like you said, and just give what they can where they are. but have a true investment in their new community. And I love that. That's so beautiful. So beautiful.
I was watching, this is total sidebar, but I was watching 2020 on Friday night, and it was a story from 2001 about a murder. Sorry to bring it down in Maryland. And the public information officer for the police department came on the screen, and I was like, that's Bill. That's Bill O'Toole. I screenshotted the TV and pulled up his headshot in our volunteer stuff, and I showed it to my husband. He was like, that's totally him. So I knew Bill volunteers on Tuesdays. Yesterday, I marched downstairs and I was like, I know you're from law enforcement. Did you work in Maryland? He said, I did. Did you see me on 2020? So yes, we just never know who these folks are, but it's amazing. It doesn't happen without them. The volunteers are crucial.
So what I am getting from you, Courtney, is that it is impossible to ever have a bad day. Challenging moments, I'm sure, like when a donor says no or a foundation turns you down, challenging moments. But there's so much positivity and positive energy that is so contagious through the screen. I can't even imagine what it's like walking in there. And I'm jealous, truly, and humbled that you created such an incredible environment. And I would say, in a world where we are truly struggling, and I also just completed a certification in customer service, excellent customer service, something to do with that. You guys have perfected the art of recognizing, seeing, hearing, and valuing, and creating a positive environment. And so if you're in the area, just drop by with a donation and catch that vibe, right? You can never have a bad day. You guys are setting the role. I'm stuttering over my words because I'm so in awe. I knew how amazing you were, but this has really brought out how much more amazing than I understood just from our initial conversations. And I am truly in awe of everything that you do, and so humbled that you would be on my show just to share this little bit with us. And I've asked you all the questions that I prepared because you've been so wonderful. So what I would ask you is, what is a final thought that you would leave us with? A final piece of nugget or something that you could do, something that you would recommend to everybody? What's your secret? Just that piece of nugget.
Yeah, I mean, this is nothing unique. Be kind. You never know what folks are going through. And especially in a community like ours, where we know that when you walk into a room, 50 to 60% of the folks in that room may be struggling that day financially or otherwise. Just be nice.
I love it. I have my one little dog with anxiety who, I don't know if you saw her pop over. She needed a hug a minute ago. And when I walk her, I don't tell her to not bark because that's so negative, right? So I say, use your kind words. And you would be shocked the responses that I get and the smiles, and people go out of their way now to tell her she's a good girl, because I'm like, okay, let's sit, let's ground yourself. Now share kindness, use your kind words. And that's taught her to smile. And it sounds silly. It sounds very silly, but I think you understand. It's those little moments when you can just spread that genuine kindness and turn something negative into a positive. And you guys are. Courtney, I don't think there's anything I could ever do to help you other than share your incredible message, be one of your biggest cheerleaders, and spread your message all over the country and highlight you as one of the best nonprofits I've ever come into contact with. And let me just tell you, in my previous career, when I was the CEO, I was the turnaround CEO. So I've dealt with the IRS, Department of Labor, all that ugliness. I am in awe of what you've created. Please keep going. If you ever have a bad day, please don't hesitate to send me an email or a text message. I will cheer you on. I will share clippets of this with you. I will remind you how amazing you and your staff are. And from the very bottom of my heart, thank you, first of all, for starting off my day this way. And thank you for being such an amazing guest on my very, very little podcast. Thank you so much.
It's going to be huge because you care about the story. I mean, everybody has a journey.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody has a journey. So thank you for letting me have this conversation. It was fun.
It was. Thank you, Courtney. I'll be in touch very soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.